Hey guys, today I'm going to show you the July 22nd, 2009 total solar eclipse that was visible over Wuhan, China. And this eclipse was the longest total solar eclipse of the 21st century. So the ritual here is that it exposed Wuhan, which was the origin of the corona. Here's the path of the total solar eclipse here, with the longest exposure of the corona passed over Wuhan on 7/22/09. This is the origin of this whole pandemic that we're experiencing right now. So I'm going to talk about this eclipse, and I'm going to connect it to wormwood. And I'm going to be talking about the vaccine for the corona, which also ties directly into wormwood. I'll show you how all these numbers here that I've shown you over and over all connect to the eclipse rituals that surround this Wuhan, China corona. And I had recorded this video last night, but just to show you the first connection here to the vaccine and the eclipse. And I've covered Kamala Harris before. I'm going to show you all kinds of numbers here. The wormwood numbers. I'm going to talk about the Fibonacci and golden ratio numbers. Kamala Harris was chosen as Biden's vice presidential running mate on 8/11. We're going to cover all this stuff here, how it's all connected. But today, Kamala Harris is supposed to get the vaccine. And if we go from this eclipse to today, December 29th, 2020, it's 137 months and 7 days, which is a 1377. And we take the ordinal gematria value of Revelation 8:11. Sums to 1377. So that's why she's receiving the vaccine today. She became the vice presidential candidate on 8/11/2020. If we count the end date for today, it's the 141st day after 8/11. 8/11, the 141st prime number. Its exact position in Revelation, 8/11, the 141st verse. Now the connection to the vaccine for the corona. Remember, wormwood is also connected to the sun. The alchemical metal of the sun is gold, so that's why we're looking at the golden ratio. But the volume of the sun is given as 1.41 times 10 to the 18th cubic kilometers. It's simply a reverse value of 811,141. And the name of the star is called wormwood, and a third of the part of the waters became wormwood, and many men died of the waters because they were made bitter. Wormwood is a bitter herb. It's for removing parasites of the gastrointestinal tract as well as cleaning out bacterial infections, and it's also antiviral. So it's an antiviral, antibacterial, bitter herb. Also known to be mixed in the absinthe, the European liquor known as absinthe. But it's this antiviral, antibacterial property that has to do with the vaccine. So that's why Kamala Harris is getting the vaccine today. And it connects directly to the wormwood verse from Revelation. Now we're going to cover these golden ratio numbers, 618 and 1.618. the Fibonacci sequence and the golden ratio. I'm also going to show you the total lunar eclipse, how it's the counterpart to this Wuhan eclipse from July 22nd, 09. When we go from this total solar eclipse to the coming total lunar eclipse that's going to be visible over American Samoa on May 26, 2021. There's 618 weeks between these eclipses for our first golden ratio reference. And the reason we're interested in American Samoa is because this year the bat quarter referencing the National Park of American Samoa was released on February 13th, 2020, which features the Samoan Flying Fox. And we're told it's the cross-species transmission from bat to human for the coronavirus. So the connection to the American Samoa eclipse, the bat, and the quarter. And I'm going to be talking about the National Park of American Samoa that connects to this puzzle as well. It connects to Kamala Harris. But all this is connected. So that's why we're looking at this American Samoa total lunar eclipse. That just happens to be Millennium Lunation 264 that this eclipse falls into. I showed you guys before all the connections to Kamala and Venus. Kamala is the Hindu equivalent to the goddess Venus. There's a 264 connection here as well. Venus's axial tilt is listed as 2.64 degrees, and Venus, we're told the rotation is opposite or retrograde all of the other planets. But anytime you see this 264 number, I think of it as a Venus connection. And we have a direct connection to Venus and Kamala. But 618 weeks. Now, the first identification of the coronavirus was on January 8th, 2020. And if we go from that identification to the total lunar eclipse over American Samoa, it's 16 months, 18 days, another golden ratio reference. The longest solar eclipse in 09 to the declaration of the global pandemic on 3/11/2020, 555 weeks. That's also connected to the treatment of the corona. The first study of a treatment for the corona, the name of that was LYCOV555. And we'll take a look at this. The announcement was on June 1st, 2020, but we'll take a look at this. But there's the 555 connection to the first treatment studied for the corona, and the 555 weeks between the longest exposure of the corona to the global pandemic declaration. Also, 5 is the third prime number. So this could be a 333. Just like the 333 for Biden-Harris. Also, when we do the gematria of wormwood, we're going to add it in reverse here. We're going to add the values. We're going to mirror the values or sum it in reverse, and then true reverse. It sums to 333, third prime being 5. So here's the release of this American Samoa quarter with the bat. Now the bat is also connected to a goddess. The Samoa Flying Fox. One legend from the island of Savai in Samoa is about the Nafuana, goddess of war. She was rescued by flying foxes when stranded on an inhospitable island. So there's a connection to the goddess of war with this American Samoa bat. The surname Harris is related to the etymology that means make war, lay waste, ravage, or plunder. More war rituals. But if we go from the release of this quarter on February 13th, 2020 to this total lunar eclipse over American Samoa at 66 weeks and 6 days. Now there's a mathematical connection to the eclipse as well. This is Saros series 121, and it's 56 of 84. 56 divided by 84 is 0.6666 repeating. So kind of an interesting connection here to the quarter. Now, that's the second American Samoa quarter, but if we go back and look at the first American Samoa quarter that was released, it was released on July 27th, 2009. If we go back and look at our lunations for 2009, the total solar eclipse with the longest exposure of the corona was in the same lunation as the release of the first American Samoa quarter. It was lunation 1071. So it was millennium lunation 118. Simple reversal of 811. But if we go from the release of the first American Samoa quarter to the first administer of the vaccination for corona, it was 11 years, 4 months, 11 days. And 11411 is the 1377th prime, back to our ordinal gematria value of Revelation 8:11. First quarter to first vaccine, 11411. Then we had the first U.S. vaccination, Sandra Lindsay, on 12/14/2020. Also the same day as a total solar eclipse visible over Argentina. That was the day that the Electoral College officially voted Biden-Harris as the president and vice president-elect. On the day that the corona was exposed, Sandra Lindsay sums to 141 in ordinal gematria. 141st prime is 811. Now the quarter that was released this year for American Samoa was the National Park quarter. And if we go back and look at the establishment of the national park in American Samoa, it was on October 31st, 1988 with H.R. 4818 in the 100th Congress. These are some screenshots of texts that I sent to Bobby Simpson back in March. But H.R. 4818 on 10/31/88 establishes American Samoa National Park. And if you add 12,100 days, it gets us to 12/17/2021. Now the reason I added that, it's like a 121. Saros series 121. Revelation sums to 121. And then 12/17/2021 is 40 years, 8 months, and 18 total days after the Reagan assassination attempt. And it's also 4 years, 8 months, 18 days after Ivanka Trump took office as Donald Trump's advisor. So 2 48/18s connected to the establishment of the American Samoa National Park. The Reagan assassination attempt was 3/30/81. Go to this date, 12/17/2021. It's 40 years, 8 months, 18 total days when we count the end date for our 48/18. I'll go over this other text here. You can read this, but I'm going to go over this in a later video. But this 1019th prime, this number 1019, I'm going to cover that here. 1019 is the 171st prime number. And we'll be taking a look at that number in just a second. It was lunation, brown lunation number 1071. That was the origin of the longest corona. This 171 is very important to Kamala Harris and Ivanka Trump. So there's our 48/18 with Ivanka. She became Donald Trump's advisor March 29, 2017 to this 12/17/2021 date. 48/18, and there was a JFK connection to Ivanka. We're told that Lee Harvey Oswald used the 6.5x52 Italian Carcano rifle. And if we go from 11/22/1963 and we add 6,552 days, that's the birth of Ivanka Trump on 10/30/81. And there's a connection to Kamala Harris with JFK as well. She was born 10/20/1964. 333 days after JFK. She has a 333 connection. The third prime 5, 333, 555. With this establishing that there's a connection between Ivanka and Kamala and JFK. So here's the number 171. 171st prime. It's 1019, and we'll get back to that later. But 171 in itself has this factorization of 3 times 3 times 19. And I'll show you how that works here in a minute. So we have millennium lunation count that I use all the time. That begins on January 1st, 2000. The Wuhan solar eclipse was lunation 1071. Millennium lunation 118. But if you look at Kamala Harris and Ivanka Trump and their birthdays, they were born 17 years and 10 days apart. A 171. So I want to take a look at this date 3/16/2022 in relation to the beginning of the millennium. January 1st, 2000 to March 16th, 2022 is 8,110 days. 811. Then if we go from Kamala Harris's birth to this date, it's 2,995 weeks in 1 day. Or you could say it's the beginning of her 2,996th week. And that's significant because it relates to 9/11, the 2,996 deaths on 9/11. Then if we go from 9/11 to this date of March 16, 2022, it's 1,070 weeks in 1 day. Or you could say it's the beginning of the 1,071st week, which connects back to our total solar eclipse, the 1071. And then September 26, 2021 to this March 16th, 2022 date is 171 days. And this 9/26/21 date connects to the golden ratio. The two eclipses that form an X, if we split those total number of days into the golden ratio, that day that splits it is 9/26/2021, 1497 days after the Great American Eclipse, and 925 days to the other Great American Eclipse that forms the X over Carbondale. $14.97 divided by 925 is 1.618. Golden ratio. But I'm going to be looking more at winter of 2021. I'm showing you guys the date of 12/22/2021. There's many 12/22s that fall in the winter of 2021 on different calendars. 12/22 on the Mars calendar, 12/22 on the Hebrew calendar. And this 3/16/2022 date is 4 days before the end of winter. So it's at the very tail end of winter 2021-2022. But here's the main connection for the 171. We're going to look at Revelation 17:1. This is Revelation 17:1. Now it connects to Kamala Harris here. And there came one of the 7 angels which had the 7 vials, and talked with me, saying unto me, Come hither, I will show unto thee the judgment of the great whore that sitteth upon many waters. Remember, it's wormwood that poisons the waters. It's talking about the judgment. Now there's speculation that the Biden-Harris election was the result of voter fraud. So I'm going to take a look at this 2021 date that I showed you guys here. 12/17/2021 on the Julian calendar. On the Julian calendar, this date is 12/4/2021. And on 12/4/2021, there's a total solar eclipse visible over Antarctica. There's the location of maximum eclipse over Antarctica here for the December 4th, 2021 eclipse. Now this is connected to elections and wormwood. This eclipse is Saros Series 152. The first occurrence of 811 and pi occurs at position 152. The full gematria value of Kamala Devi Harris sums to 152. The December 4th, 2021 total solar eclipse over Antarctica is in Saros Series 152, and it's number 13 in that series. Now if we go back to the previous eclipse in Saros Series 152, 2003, November 23rd, 2003 was the 12th of the Saros Series 152. So we're going to take a look at this date, 11/23. (11/23/2003), the day of the 12th solar eclipse in that Saros series. There was the Rose Revolution. Georgian President Eduard Shevardnadze resigns following weeks of mass protests over flawed elections. Right, there's speculation that this election was flawed. Maybe they're forecasting judgment of the flawed election with this 171 connection. 12-4 the eclipse, 12-17. All connected here. Now there's more to this eclipse that I'm going to show you guys. You have a line here drawn to this eclipse through Antarctica, and I'll show you how that line connects to the origin of flight MH370. Now if you do your research, you should be able to figure that out before I even make the video. But this line I have connected connects to MH370, the disappearance of the flight. But I'll get to that in a later video. I just want to show you all the connections to the vaccine, the 1377. Wormwood is antiviral. Wormwood has to do with the sun. And it's the sun's corona that's exposed. Okay guys, that's it. I'll try to get that other video out with the more information on the December 4th, 2021 eclipse, but thanks for watching.